Some fun and interesting facts about the childcare ministry. It actually we started planning around 24 to 25 years ago in 1999. I'm sure Reverend John Morrison will probably know the exact date. He was our founding, I was going to call him a founding father, but I call him a founding pastor of our childcare ministry in Ashfield. Reverend John Morrison, you want to just put your hand up, John? Yeah. Many of us know you, but there's people who might know you. And John was a minister here for, I think, like 21 years. 21 years. He's so young, he was only 21. We then officially opened the centre on the 15th of November 2024 to the public. And 2004, sorry, thank you, Lee. Please correct my dyslexic speaking. November, December 2023, which was just last year, just recently transitioned to an Integricare management model. So Integricare is a Christian organisation that runs preschools and childcare centres and has a very, very long history of evangelistic ministry in Sydney. Some interesting stuff on their website and videos on YouTube about how they became to be as an organisation. 42 people in total have served on the Committee of Management over the years in the childcare centre. The first Committee of Management was the actual church leadership, of whom, if I can remember, there was Pastor John, Dennis Laris as secretary, me as the treasurer of the diaconate, as we called it back then, the church leadership, and we had Duncan Smith, Ken Munro, and there was someone else. I have all the list. Actually, I've got the book. Pastor John's writing on it. Let me read it out to you. Yes, Reverend John, Dennis, me, Lydia Brichter, Ken Munro, John Parodi and Duncan Smith. And then it became an incorporated association, and then we had its own Committee of Management, which with the church leadership was the childcare sort of centre management model. And so those 42 people were backed up by many, many church leaders over the years. So there's so many people involved. I don't want to name any more names, really. But many of us were involved over the years in some way or another. And the incredible thing is that more than 700 children have come through our centre, because we've been a combination of long day care as well as occasional care. So that means many children have come through our centre over the years, which means that almost all those children have been exposed to the gospel of Jesus. So that's pretty incredible. Because we do Bible story time with the children every single day of the week. So that's a pretty amazing fact. And we've also had families attending approximately 50 evangelistic events over the years. Some of our children, some are here today, have attended the childcare centre as little pupils, and several people from our church have even been employed at the childcare centre, including Kathy Munro, who's here today. She was one of our first church administrators. Put your hand up, Kathy. There you go. And someone who couldn't make it today, Susan Laris, who is the mum of Elijah and Frisia, who attend the church. She was our first chaplain at the centre, and I am the current chaplain at the centre. And two of the past childcare attendees, one who came to our church and one who came to our church because she was a past childcare attendee, that's tricky, have actually been employees as childcare workers. So that's some fun facts about our childcare ministry. I'll ask Tina to come come and read us what I've called cut and paste Bible verse today. There wasn't anything I could find that really captured what I wanted God to speak to us through his word, so I had to find lots of little pieces and put them together. So take it away, Tina. And following that, we will enter into the hymn, Great is Thy Faithfulness.
O Lord God Almighty, who is like you? You are mighty, O Lord, and your faithfulness surrounds you. The Lord is good, a refuge in times of trouble. He cares for those who trust in him. For he guards the course of the just and protects the way of his faithful ones. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust him, and he will help you. Let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His love endures forever. And now we thank you, our God, and praise your glorious name.
Our sermon today is not really a sermon. It is what I call a creative message presentation. And it's, it'll become apparent what it is when I start it. So let it roll. Brett, thank you. A story about the goodness of God, faithful people, and a beautiful garden. Once upon a time, there was a group of people who loved Jesus. They were all part of a church in a place that was mostly full of buildings and concrete. The people wanted to help families in their community, so they decided to build a garden that would be a beautiful place for young children to play, be safe, grow, and learn about Jesus and other many good things. These people loved taking on new challenges. They prayed and trusted that God would help them because there was a lot of planning and work to be done so that the garden could be safe and strong and beautiful for all the children and their teachers to enjoy. After several years of hard work, the garden was opened for the children to play in. So the people held a special ceremony and they were all happy and thanked God for his goodness. The people continued to care for the garden with the help of the special gardener in charge of all the other teachers and workers. Some people from the church would also work in the garden too. Sometimes there were challenges and hard things to do and work on. After all, every good story has its challenges and problems. But when the people prayed to God, he was always good and faithful, and he helped the people to be faithful, to care for their garden the way that he wanted them to. God always provided for the special garden and kept them safe. Over the years, the garden grew and flourished. It was indeed beautiful, and children were playing and learning and growing. Many, many little children would come and then leave as they outgrew the garden. Then new children would come to play, learn and grow. The children would learn and hear about Jesus every day. They loved to sing songs, dance, learn Bible verses, talk to God and ask questions. The families of the children would often come to special events held in the garden or in the church as well, and many people would hear about Jesus and how much he loved them. After many, many years of caring for the garden, the people of the church felt that their work was done, but the garden still needed to be cared for. So the people prayed again to God for his guidance. And in time, they were able to hand over the control of the garden to people who would look after it the way they did. The new people also loved Jesus and, I can't read it, would be able to keep the children beautiful, the garden beautiful and safe for the children for many years. And the people were all thankful. They could still enjoy the garden and watch it continue to flourish and grow with lots of happy little children in it for many more years. And that's the end of that story, but it's not really the end, it's just a new beginning. And we want to thank the people, which is mostly you and many other people that have been faithful in this ministry over so many years. As I'd mentioned, John Morrison, Kathy Munro's here too, who's been very much involved, and Wilma, our director, who's been employed for 20 years now, caring for the centre. And particularly want to thank our outgoing Committee of Management, Jodie Goldney, Roger, Elise and Anya Leonard, our parent representative, who, with many others, as well as Guy Yeomans and the church leadership, have carried the centre through that transition phase. So thank you. But the most thanks go to our great God for his goodness, to Ashfield Baptist Childcare for so many years. Please, Lord, continue to love and help our centre be faithful and blessing the garden for many more years to come. And that's the takeaway message. Commit everything you do to the Lord. Trust him and he will help you. From Psalm 37, verse 5. Thank you. I'll ask Micah to lead us through a time of an open mic time of tributes, and you go, Micah.
So we're going to move into a time, and we're going to have it in sort of three sections. We're giving thanks for the childcare, but that'll be sort of the first part. And we're going to start off with a couple of thanks that have been written, and we'll share those in a minute. But then we want you to think about, especially if you were someone who participated, or if you were someone who saw and was blessed by the childcare, we'd love for you to stand up, come up to the mic, or we can pass a mic to you. And the reason why we want to pass the mic to you is we want to catch this for all those that are joining us on the camera as well. So if you say something loudly in here, sure, all of us can hear, but they can't, so we want you to use the mic. So that first part of it will be giving thanks for everything that God has given us in the Child Care Center. Then we're going to shift, and I want you to be thinking about in your own life, what are things that have been blessings of God that you can also give thanks to? And then we're going to shift again to a third time where we're going to share things that we want to pray for and share with our community to have prayer for. And we'll ask James to come then and close us in a communal prayer with that. So with that, we're going to start off with that first section of giving thanks for everything the Child Care Center has been. And we're going to have two different messages read for us for that part. And then I'll invite you to share.
You just have to listen to my voice for a little longer. So Jodie, who I was saying is our retiring chairperson from the committee, wrote this. I'm going to just say pretty much, think about Jodie. If you know Jodie, think about her when I read this. So this is Jodie's idea. Stand up if you are a current committee of management member. Stand up if you have served on the committee of management over the years. Stand up if you have responded to or engaged in conversations about the running, etc. of the childcare centre over the years. Stand up if you have participated in one of the childcare celebratory services over the years. Well, that means everyone, because you're all here today. Okay, you can all sit down. So well done. Everyone's involved, all right? Thanks all so much for being here today to celebrate both the ABCC, which is Ashfield Baptist Childcare, and also to recognise the work of the Committee of Management over the years and the incredible support of the broader community in initiating, running and now walking alongside the ABCC. The childcare is an example of what a community can achieve when it has a vision. passion for community, and a few people with the energy and willingness to open doors. And not take no for an answer. As you can see from the earlier exercise, so many of you have been a part of this journey. With the journey for ABC now shifting almost completely from a management role to one of providing community pastoral care and relational support for the work which Integricare is now leading. Prior to handing back to Nerida, that's me, I would like to take a moment to recognise the work of the current Committee of Management in getting things to this point. In particular, Elise Cook for her work as Secretary. Thanks so much for your organising, succinct, accurate minutes and friendship over the past few years. You have helped keep things fun. Roger Swanson for his work as the Deputy Chairperson. Your commitment to the ABC and willingness to do whatever needs to be done. To our parental rep, Anya Leonard, those whose incredible skill set and generosity has meant that we have been able to dot our I's and cross our T's. Without you, I am quite sure we would not have been able to get to the point we are at now. And last but absolutely not least, Wilma, for your passion for children and wisdom as a leader. You more than anyone else remain the heart and soul of the ministry. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge again the work of Guy Yeoman, who alongside Anya took much of the load of transferring a business across to a new organisation in his time as interim pastor. Going forward, I think it is worth remembering the words of Jesus, who said, "Let the little children come to me," once again modelling a different way of defining power and value in society. Children are the well pool which refresh us, and over time it is their insights and energy which help shift our society into new and better directions. I think that is something well worth remembering. The other written memo I have is from Wilma Anvier, our director. She couldn't be here today and she'll explain why. Dear brothers and sisters, I wanted very much to be with you this morning, but much is going on in the life of our family which requires my attention. But while absent in my heart, I am also celebrating, and grateful to the Lord for the blessing this childcare centre has been for almost 20 years for so many staff and families. I remember the first day as we stood on the floor of what is the preschoolers' room today, and with a few sisters from this church, together we prayed that through this ministry many children grow and come to know the Lord. How the Lord works is not always obvious to us. We work now and the Lord bears fruit in his time. This I know, God's work will not come back empty without bearing fruit. We have the privilege of teaching children God's word and praying for them, which is the single most important aspect of our work. Without it, this would just be another preschool. I wanted to thank those of you present here who over the years have directly blessed this ministry by giving of your time generously to allow this service to operate. We wouldn't have been able to do this without you. And for the church, who prayed for the ongoing work of this childcare centre. Thank you. I hope while the Lord allows this ministry to go on, you would remember us.
Is this mic on? Excellent. Well, now it is your time. In what ways would you like to give thanks for the work of the childcare, whether that's thanking someone in particular or sharing a memory? What is it? Throw up your hand and I'll hand you the mic.
Thank you. I'm always excited about the open mic time. So I felt I had to hog it. I remember in 1999, the council, Ashfield Council, had $60,000 and they for the community grant, and they approached us at the church to provide a childcare service that was much in need in the community. And when I first heard of it, I couldn't contain the excitement. I just felt I had no idea how much it would take, how much money it needed to set up an organisation, a childcare centre as such. But faith in God, that the excitement that I felt like we were, as a church community, we were handed this on the golden plate, this golden opportunity with $60,000. That sounded a lot of money at the time, but it wasn't. It took it cost a lot more than $60,000. I remember I was on the community management as treasurer because I felt that was only fair, even though I had no idea how much it would take, how much would it cost to set up a childcare centre, but I felt it was only fair that I become the treasurer to think about the finances, and that came with a lot of prayer, because I remember we didn't have enough resources to fund the staff or to fund the structure, the business license, and all of those involved. And I remember the days that John had to take money out of his private bank account. So thank you, Chris, for supporting that, and to pay for what's needed. But 2004 we opened for business, and we're still, it's going strong. So that's just a snapshot of what faith had played in this, and the outcome of that faith as a church community, as us, as the people in the leadership. And to the second element of your sharing segment, seeing that fruit of faith has really built my confidence going forward so that experience had really empowered me and equipped me for the life after. So thank you.
I'll just do a little follow-on from Kathy's comments about finance. Unlike Kathy, I'm not I know how to use a credit card, but in terms of managing, and I do remember one of our and I was on the management committee at this time, one of our early meetings, and it was one of those times where we hadn't met our requirement, the monthly problem was there, and I less than helpfully made the comment that, well, at least we're achieving our first goal, which was to be a non-profit organisation. That was my contribution.
Let's just keep going along the road. If I could go right back to the beginning, even before we had the grant, the whole idea came about because the council, just before the new millennium, had done a big survey, a social needs survey of the area, and the top ranking need that people expressed was for childcare, particularly occasional childcare. Because there was none in the whole of the council area. And we already had a good relationship with council. As a result of that, we entered into dialogue with them whether there was some way we could help meet that need. And that's where the initial idea came from. And the council was very supportive. There were other organisations that helped us get started. And really, we had a vision to minister to our community right from the beginning, and more and more people caught that vision as we got going, and thanks has already been expressed to so many who have helped play a part in that vision becoming a reality. Finances were tight at the beginning, I remember. We needed to employ Wilma a couple of months before we even had any income from children at the centre. She did an amazing job writing all the sorts of policies and finalising building requirements. The other person that I want to mention, and this was God's provision too, was Warwick Connor, who has since passed away. Warwick had recently retired. He had multiple trades in building, interior decorating, unusual combination, and he just volunteered his services. He was the project manager, and the whole project wouldn't have got off the ground without him. That certainly helped with finances because he charged us nothing. But just on finances, one of the things I remember, because I had a vested interest in paying off my credit card, getting children enrolled, I can remember in those early days we put together a little brochure, and I'd go over into the mall and I'd stalk anyone I could see with children. And at an appropriate time, I'd just hand them a little brochure and say, if you'd like some childcare, just across the road. I don't think the mall management ever found out about that. I was quite discreet, but and I'm not sure it ever worked, but we did end up with enrolments, and I was able to recoup my credit card expenses. So once again, God's provision in all of that.